killed the dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
It was pretty much this line that sealed the fate for Batman for a good 8 years. The movie was so bad, George Clooney to this day is still apologizing for Batman and Robin.
I always apologize for Batman.
This movie pretty much did irreparable damage to the IP, which forced Warner Brothers to put the character into a deep coma for quite some time, at the fear of producing another Batman and Robin.
Oh God! Oh my God! Oh my God! You can't hurt anyone anymore.
And a young man named Nolan made a bold pitch to open the forbidden door and give the Caped Crusader another chance at the big screen. Quite frankly, Warner were hesitant at another attempt for a Batman film, but eventually were immediately sold on the idea of a more grounded and realistic approach to the character.
Took a huge chance by going with Chris. Not that he doesn't have the skill set, obviously, to do something like this, but I'm sure the first inclination was to go with somebody who had proven that they could do a $100 million or $200 million movie.
Wow, only if they listened to Joel Schumacher's original pitch, they wouldn't have been in this situation at the start. That's a topic for another video. Nolan hired David Goyer to help out with the screenplay and created a notable trend such as the no-kill rule, as well as a dark, gritty nature DC has been noted as, which only excelled in the later films. Now, Batman Begins was set to release in 2005. It was released approximately 3 weeks after Revenge of the Sith. Now, coming off of Batman and Robin and facing conclusion of the prequels, I'm sure Warner Brothers didn't expect $1 billion in return because the film was way off that mark. But it was the critical praise that won Nolan his trilogy. It's crazy that nowadays, with that kind of profit, despite it being good, would see the media boot from studios.
It's not about money, it's about sending a message.
Now, the film had a huge significant impact on the popular Caped Crusader, and The Dark Knight pretty much shined that statement. From a personal experience, the film is heavily enjoyable. From a Gotham being an actual character, now your local Chicago street, practical stunts making scenes feel real, to Christian Bale's menacing Batman voice,
Where were the other drugs going?
primarily damaged his throat so much he became throat cancer Batman.
Where is it? Shut up.
For a film that existed for that long and continuously watching it religiously and the amount of free time you had during the pandemic, you are bound to find issues. Thankfully, the issues in this film doesn't break this film to a million pieces, unlike The Dark Knight Rises. More on that on a future video. I've been rambling long enough, let's go over the important points of its story. A young Bruce Wayne is playing with his friend Rachel but falls down a well which is infested with bats. We pretty much covered his reasoning why he chose the Batman name. Anyways, his dad rescues him and we get a line that becomes a key piece in Bruce's character.
Why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves up.
But his fear of bats eventually leads to his parents getting shot in an alley after getting mugged by Joe Chill. Years later, Bruce is a spoiled rich boy that has no self-respect. The only thing he cares about is seeing Joe Chill dead in front of him and is boiling to shoot him by his own hand. Damn, shit got pretty dark for Bruce Wayne after 18 years. Holy crap. He eventually gets his wish in the court, but not by his own hands, by one of Falcone's links.
Hey Joe, Falcone says hi.
Bruce and Rachel are arguing while they're driving back to the manor. Rachel is so annoyed by Bruce's one-dimensional thinking of Gotham City to the point that she takes him to the underground side of Gotham. She shows Bruce of Falcone's damages to the city. Bruce confesses to Rachel and he gets smacked a couple times. And we see a symbolic scene that is the turning point of Bruce's character. And yes, it's where he tosses his gun, creates the no-kill rule. God forbid this becomes a debate in the next 20 or so years. Bruce confronts Falcone and Falcone reveals that he pretty much controls Gotham and can easily pull the trigger whenever he wants to.
Because your mommy and your daddy got shot. You know about the ugly side of life, but you don't. You've never tasted desperate.
Before Bruce can leave, he gets a smack from one of Falcone's goons. It's the punch that pushes Bruce to explore the life of a person who struggles. The journey eventually gets him arrested and he meets the Card. Card wishes to train Bruce in the arts of being a ninja. Bruce begins to conquer his fear of bats and the hauntings of his past. Learns the Shadow's way of dealing with the crime, their own brand of justice. Basically, if you did the crime, you might do the time depending on how severe the crime is, because you might face immediate death. Sadly for Bruce, he's challenged by this ideology as Descartes orders Bruce to chop off one of the prisoner's head. But Bruce does not want to be an executioner.
I will go back to Gotham and I will fight men like this, but I will not become an executioner.
So knowing distractions are powerful agents, see what I did there? He decides to torch up the place, which blows the League into flames, including Ra's al Ghul himself. Despite what transpired and the hundreds of shadows that got blown up to smithereens, Bruce launches himself to save the card. Bruce leaves the mountains and heads back to Gotham, and we get the suit montage of him donning the cape.
This time my enemies shared my dread.
Batman goes around Gotham City taking out criminals left and right, and I'm eventually gonna have a migraine from watching this awful camera work. He apprehends Falcone and straps him to create a bat signal. Now the entire city of Gotham, including the press, are on this vigilante, including his friend Rachel. So Bruce must mask himself as a douchebag billionaire, cause no one would guess an asshole as a savior of Gotham.
Well, a guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
It is not a question of money.
You see, I'm buying this hotel.
Well, thank you all for coming here tonight and drinking all of my booze. No, not finished. To all of you phonies, all of you two-faced friends.
Obviously, Batman goes through a lot this film. He eventually gets gassed by Scarecrow, which triggers his past fears.
In my opinion, you need to lighten up.
Rachel is also a victim of getting gassed, but Lucius was able to create an antidote, which becomes the base for mass production, as we learn this later in the film. Bruce hosts a party and meets a familiar face, Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, Ra's al Ghul, not the dude that got crushed. He was merely just a decoy, rest in peace. But Descartes is the real Al Ghul here, and he threatens that he will use Scarecrow's gas and contaminate all of Gotham. He mocks Bruce's lack of awareness and burns the Wayne Manor down.
Consider us even.
But Alfred rescues Bruce from the debris. Now it's up to Batman to save Gotham. Joins forces with Rachel and Gordon and Joffrey to defeat Ra's al Ghul from destroying Gotham entirely, in a more controversial discussion of whether he killed him or not, and the massive property damage he has caused. Hopefully Bruce was kind enough to pay it off. Gotham is saved, Bruce was able to take control of his company. Rachel seems to now want to date someone who's living a double life because reasons. He went on a long journey after getting slapped, punched into realization, made a better person of himself only to get rejected. That is rough. You get an ending that sends shivers down everyone's spine.
I'll look into it.
Batman and Gordon become buddies to save Gotham from the crime it has been fested in. Considering the film made just over $300 million on a $150 million budget, the film was a step in the right direction, as the sequel made just over $1 billion and was a clear upgrade from this one. The third film also made more than its predecessor, but dropped significantly in its quality of writing and its characters. You see, the '89 film, in my honest opinion, never made me care for Bruce as a character. Now, is this a personal take on that film? I know that film is considered gold to many OG fans, but what Begins does to Bruce's character, it adds a deeper meaning into his goals and ambitions. When we first see him in the film, he looks like shit, and his mentality is so broken that all he quests for is vengeance against Joe Chill. But that goal was certainly taken care of pretty quickly, but a smack put him into reality and finds himself in a quest to protect Gotham, something that his father's ambitions were actually. We all love the Joker from the '89 film. He was funny, dark, and Jack Nicholson acted his heart out for the role. Hard to top villain of that caliber. But although Ra's isn't close to being the best villain of this trilogy, that range still goes to Heath Ledger's Joker. Ra's and Bruce's conflicting ideologies adds a great dynamic between them. Both wish to stop crime, Bruce's scale being much lower than Ra's al Ghul, but their approach to the cause is what leads friends becoming enemies.
I will go back to Gotham and I will fight men like this, but I will not become an executioner.
Every time a civilization reaches the pinnacle of its decadence, we return to restore the balance.
You see, Ra's al Ghul believes death is deserving to those who push limits of tyranny. The irony behind this is actually very astronomical. But Bruce doesn't want to fall in the path of those who pulled that trigger, as he will feel it'll only be time till it overtakes one's mind. He'll be no better than Joe Chill. So when Ra's launches a gas attack on Gotham into becoming Hell 2.0, as he believes Gotham is beyond repairable, and the only solution for Ra's al Ghul is to force the people to eat each other, seems harsh I guess, but Bruce believes Gotham can come back, something his father believed in. So when the two conflicting personalities clash on a train, Bruce manages to get the upper hand. After being mocked twice for his lack of awareness, and Ra's dies by exploding and causing collateral damage. Every character plays some sort of role in the story. Gordon represents very good that's left in corrupted police force, while Rachel is the assistant of a DA of Gotham. And Nolan certainly missed a mark with writing Rachel. She seems to lack charisma. I mean, she expects so much out of Bruce, and this meme completely describes the inconsistency of her character. It does get somewhat better in The Dark Knight, but she gets blown up in Experiment. So any room for fixing was completely disintegrated along with her. Alfred is what you would expect Alfred to be. He's loving, he's caring, he motivates Bruce and is the father figure for him. Lucius is Bruce's supplier for equipment, creating devices to help him in situations such as calling a horde of bats.
Does it come in black?
Or driving around Gotham in a tank running over shit. Scarecrow is brilliantly played by Cillian Murphy, who originally was auditioned for the role of Batman. But he sounded more like a distressed serial killer than a Bruce Wayne.
Joe murdered my parents and they deserve...
Perfectly fits Scarecrow. Scarecrow, although minimal in the film, he's merely pawn of Ra's al Ghul to create the toxins and loading them in Gotham's water systems. After this film, he appears as a cameo, which is a bummer because Thomas Shelby, Cillian Murphy, is a great actor playing a supporting role again. Now the film does have problems which is worth mentioning, such as they were so invested in the choreography of this film that Nolan decided, hey, what if the audience couldn't see shit? It makes the viewing experiment feel like you're gonna fucking puke. But the more major criticism I have for this film, and this becomes a consistent issue in the trilogy, is the carelessness of the famous no-kill rule. Yes, Bruce might say he's not an executioner, but attempted murder does exist. I'll defend him blowing up the League of Shadow, as even he was left in a situation where setting a flame as a distraction might give him some time of survival. Cause you know, they were gonna probably execute him on the spot, and he's the only thing which stands in the way of the League's plans. I can also defend Raz's death, as Raz had some time to escape, as Bruce gave Raz that option, whereas Raz decided to stay and accept his fate. But running and flipping over cop cars is non-defensible. That's just laziness and Nolan's end.
Oh, he's dead.
Despite its very minimal problems, Batman Begins is a solid flick, which aged like fine wine to this day. Hard to compare which is the better origin film between Spider-Man and Batman Begins, which is a debate between comic fans that will go on forever, but nonetheless, Batman Begins did its job of introducing the character, their goals, following the hero's journey, which many modern films have failed to comprehend.
Where are you?